On her birthday, Teresa Tree Gelbman wakes up hungover in Carter Davis's dormitory. Her father calls, but she doesn't pick up. After requesting Tylenol, Tree is about to leave when she notices Ryan, Carter's roommate, entering and asks whether he slept with her. As Tree makes her way to her room, she runs into Tim, a man she previously dated. When he asks Tree why she hasn't responded to his texts, she responds that their date at Subway made her miserable and that's why she hasn't. When Tree enters her room, her roommate Lori Spangler is there. Tree rushes to get ready after realizing she would be late for class. Then Lori gives her a cupcake that she made just for Tree. Because the cupcake contains carbohydrates, Tree blows out the candle and throws it in the garbage. For a meeting on a spring dance, Tree joins her sorority sisters at lunch. Danielle Bausman, the head sister, criticizes Becky for bringing junk food to the meeting. When Becky stands up to go, she runs into Carter and spills her lunch all over Tree. Tree pulls Carter aside to continue covering up the fact that she slept in his room as Carter tries to give her some jewelry that she left behind. After class, Tree meets with her instructor, Gregory Butler. Despite the fact that Gregory is married, the two are having an affair. Stephanie, his wife, arrives at Gregory's office and asks why the door is locked. Tree keeps it cool, greets Stephanie and leaves. Later that night, Danielle invites Tree to a party being held at a dorm. Tree walks alone around the campus as he passes a group of men wearing the baby's merch of the school's sports team. She hears the sound of a music box as she passes a bridge. When Tree moves over to get the box, she notices a person wearing a baby mask standing just in front of her. The person flees when she threatens to call the police. Tree starts to leave, but the guy with the mask chases her. They manage to catch Tree, and they stab her to death. At the start of the same day, Tree wakes up in Carter's bedroom. She exits the room, seemingly startled and baffled, and believes she is experiencing déjà vu. Tree tells Becky before Carter runs into her during lunch, but the same things continue to occur. Tree goes to the party again, avoiding the bridge this time. When she enters the dorm, someone wearing the baby mask welcomes her, making her scream and punch the person in the face. It turns out to be Danielle's boyfriend Nick. Tree is getting a surprise party. She goes around drinking and trying to have fun. She climbs the stairs to Nick's room, where he is fiddling with the mask. However, the true killer enters the room and stabs Nick to death. When Tree isn't looking, Danielle texts her, accusing her of sleeping with Nick behind her back and making the implication that it has occurred before. The killer attacks Tree and kills her with a broken bong piece. Tree awakens yet again in Carter's bedroom. This time, she's much more frightened. She rushes to her room and tells Lori that someone is after her. After calming her down, Lori suggests that she take the day off and simply relax in her room. Tree closes the door and puts up barricades to prevent anyone from entering. But later that evening, the murderer enters. Despite her efforts to fight the murderer, Tree is fatally stabbed. Tree explains her situation to Carter, after going through the same things again. Carter is clearly puzzled. He advises her to narrow down her list of candidates until she can determine who the murderer is. While tracking down her suspects, Tree makes a number of loopholes. She is first going after Tim. Tim gets caught in his room watching gay porn. After getting killed again, she suspects Stephanie, but she sees Stephanie just before the killer drowns her. She suspects Danielle, but she dies on her own after the two fight and are hit by a bus. Tree thinks Gregory might be the murderer after checking those names off the list. She seeks him out in the hospital after an X-ray reveals that she has internal damage from prior deaths. But after stabbing Gregory, the murderer follows Tree into the parking lot. She takes a car and flees. A police officer stops her for speeding as she joyfully believes that she has survived death. Tree fabricates an excuse for being intoxicated and high in order to get locked up and away from the murderer. The killer drives by and strikes the cop as she is handcuffed and placed in the back of the police vehicle. When the gas tank begins to leak, the murderer drops a birthday candle to light the fuel and blow Tree up. Once more, Tree awakens in Carter's bedroom. She uses a few occurrences she's been noticing repeatedly to demonstrate her prescience, including a car alarm going off, kids being hit by sprinklers while they are studying, and a group of activists standing together as one of them collapses to the ground. Tree is now weaker with each loop, so Carter drives her to the nearest burger joint. She is beginning to fear that she might be nearing the end of her life. Carter is informed by Tree that her mother passed away 3 years prior and that she avoids her father's calls. A short while later, they catch a news program on TV about Joseph Toombs, a serial killer with a penchant for preying on young ladies. Tree thinks she can finally stop him because she thinks he is the murderer. To stop Toombs, Tree and Carter rush to the hospital. Tree grabs a fire axe to use as a weapon, enters Toombs' hospital room and finds the security guard dead. Toombs is still in the room and tries to shoot Tree. Tree is able to run away and makes it to the elevator, but the doors won't open. Carter tries to protect Tree. Tree grabs the gun, but it's out of ammo. Then Toombs snaps Carter's neck. Tree is able to take down Toombs, but she knows that Carter won't come back to life if she is successful in ending the loops. Before Toombs can reach her, she runs to the top of the bell tower, where she hangs herself while vowing to soon track down Toombs. Tree has a positive approach as it begins the new loop. Carter is warmly greeted by her, the students are warned about the sprinklers, and Lori is greeted with friendliness as she enters her room. When Tim approaches her, she tells him nicely that he should be free to love whoever he truly desires and that she is aware that he doesn't like girls. When Tree enters Gregory's class, she interrupts his lecture to pull him aside and tell him that she is ending their relationship and dropping his class. Tree arrives at the lunch meeting with a platter of fast food, which she proudly consumes. Tree refuses to let Becky go, despite Danielle's attempts to make her leave, and instead takes Becky's chocolate milk to humiliate Danielle by pouring it on her head. When Carter returns Tree's jewelry, she gives him a kiss in front of the other sisters. Carter is then invited to celebrate her birthday with her, later that evening. Tree goes out to lunch with her father, David. Since her mother passed away, she says it has been difficult to be around him, but she also tells him she loves him and is sorry for hurting him. After a little chuckle to lighten the mood, the two continue on to lunch. Tree is ready to chase after Toombs. She approaches the security guy with a knife, snatches his gun, and orders him to seek backup. Then, when Toombs pretends to be asleep, Tree enters his room and points a revolver at him. She attempts to shoot him but forgets to remove the safety. Toombs stands up and attacks Tree, shoving her hard up against the wall. Tree suddenly recalls that there would be a temporary blackout, which will happen just in time for her to get out of Toombs's line of sight. She emerges from behind him, removes the safety, and then shoots Toombs to death. Tree makes a wish, blows the candle out, and eats the cupcake from Lori and spends the remainder of the evening with Carter. Tree awakens again in Carter's room. It's still Monday the 18th. She feels perplexed and enraged, wondering how she is still trapped in the loop. Lori offers her the cupcake once again as she rushes to her room to find her. Tree declines, claiming she ate it the night before. And then, it hits her. The cupcake was poisoned, which is why she passed away while she was sleeping. Lori was the murderer the entire time, she knows, because she had never eaten the cupcake before. Due to Toombs' past and the fact that Lori works at the hospital, she was able to let him out and make it appear as though he killed Tree. Tree threatens to take the cupcake to the police and attempts to get Lori to eat it. The truth is revealed by Lori, who calls Tree a dumb bitch and admits that the whole thing was because a guy she likes was more interested in Tree than her. Lori attempts to kill Tree and the two begin fighting. Lori has Tree pinned to the bed when Danielle checks on them, but Tree is able to grab the cupcake and ram it right into Lori's mouth. Tree then leaps to her feet and grabs the ceiling light in order to kick Lori out the window and kill her. Tree and Carter are watching the news story on the incident in a restaurant. Carter begins to describe Tree's condition as being similar to Groundhog Day, but she is unaware of either the film or Bill Murray. The birthday ringtone can be heard once more when Tree awakens. Carter acts as if she's just woken up hungover. Tree begins to panic until Carter tells her that he was simply playing a joke on her and that it is actually Tuesday the 19th. They joke about it and kick Ryan out when he attempts to return inside before they kiss.